Welcome everyone, happy Saturday. Sorry we're a little late getting started. It's a vicious commute from my bedroom down the hallway to the yoga room. All right, so take your feet, this is Swastikasana. Turn your soles of your feet up toward the ceiling. Also use your hands and free your calf flesh so the calf flesh moves up toward the ceiling. And then squeeze the top of the thigh and turn the thigh from the inside out. And then work down your leg. You can kind of divide it into 3 and keep on turning, even going down into your knees. Okay, so Carolyn, the name of this pose is Swastikasana, or everyone, not just Carolyn, but she asked about the names. So I'm trying to do a better job with that in this class. And the swastika refers to the shape of the leg, which is a cross. It doesn't have anything to do with like Nazism or anything like that. It's just it's actually an ancient sacred symbol, and that's what it means, swastikasana. And what makes it different from the pose that we'll also do next, called sukhasana, which pose of ease, is the shape of the foot and a little bit the position of the legs. Okay, so you can look down and see that swastika or a cross. All right. So press the tops of the feet down into the floor and energetically lift your ankles up. And those actions of the feet you should feel a firmness in the outer hips and a release that comes into the groin. Then lengthen up through your side ribs, make yourself as tall as you can from the pelvis, through the waist, through each individual rib, all the way up into the armpits, make yourself tall. Keep that height, then roll your shoulder bones back, bring your shoulder blades closer together on your back, away from the neck and into the center of the body and up a little bit so that you feel that chest lift, but also you feel the prana or the energy of the position moving out into the side chest also, the tops of the collarbones. Then as you fold your palms together at your heart, put your thumb right at your sternum and your forearm bone should be at the base of your rib cage. Then press your palms firmly together, but also press the palms up so that we'll lift the palms up, but it's really the thumb that's helping lift the sternum up. And your forearm should actually help lift the whole rib cage up. As you lift upward in that way, you should feel the abdomen draw in a little bit and your trapezius muscles release away from the neck. Then close your eyes and turn your awareness to your breath. First, work with the breath just like it's a postural adjustment. So as you inhale, make yourself taller from the tailbone all the way up through the head. And keep that height, and as you exhale, move the prana, which means energy, of the breath outward toward the side ribs and armpits. Inhale, make yourself tall. Keep that height. Exhale, make yourself broad. Inhale, extend yourself. Exhale, expand yourself. Simply put, what you're doing is trying to create inner spaciousness with the breath. That inner spaciousness acts like a magnet for the mind, so that the mind is drawn through that sense of inner spaciousness and through the work of the breath to the inner world, that inner landscape of you, the domain of yoga. Use your exhalations quite consciously to take your awareness there. To become even more, let's say, internalized, turn your awareness to the pause that comes to each exhalation. And let the mind take on the qualities of that pause, so that the mind becomes more serene, more sattvic, more still. And from that still place within, let's chant 3 Oms together. Om. Follow that sound with your mind.
Malam Shali Varsha Devai Jakena Patanjali Mahu Purushaka Sankasaka Shitaryam Shiva Samsvedam Amanami Patanjalim. Aye.
Thank you, whoever sang the whole chant. I'm not sure who that was, but excellent.
Marsha.
Thank
I
you.
mute.
Okay, all right, so this is swastikasana, the pose that makes a cross. All right, and just for this next little thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna come off of my blanket so I'm sitting on the floor. I can feel my sitting bones a little bit more readily on the floor. My knees are up a little higher than, let's say, is optimal. All right, but it's okay for what we're doing. Then take your right hand and you're gonna reach your fingers over to the side. So you're creating length in the side of the torso. Then with your left hand, take your left hand and put it on your right pelvic bone and turn the pelvis toward the camera. Take your hand and move your ribs toward the camera. And then take your hand and move the whole collarbone so it opens toward the camera. And you can see my head's turning a little bit as well. My sitting bones have come up a little bit and I'm not worried about that right now. Okay, and then just reach your arm up like you were doing the pose Parsvakonasana with your arm, which is side angle pose. And just reach through the ring fingers and feel where you feel the sensation of stretch on that opposite side of the body. Now here's a different way of getting the arm into that same position. Bring your elbow in close to the side of your body and also bring your thumb where it's on that top part of the collarbone. And you can push that collarbone open a little bit more with your thumb. Then keeping your elbow in very close like this, just straighten your arm out on that same trajectory. And when I straighten the arm like this, I feel a more integrated and deeper experience of stretch all the way from that pelvic bone through the abdomen, side of the abdomen, through the ribs and in the armpit. When I just lift over, it's like the arm work is disconnected from the sides of the torso. But if I keep the arm in close like this and then stretch, it feels much more connected with the whole body. I don't know if y'all can feel that difference or not. And then as you come back up to the center, reach your fingers way, way, way up and bring your hand down. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. So reach your hand out first. You get some length, but you can see that my torso is turning a little bit downward toward the floor. Okay? So I'm gonna take my hand and turn the pelvis, turn the abdomen, and turn the top chest away from that arm. Okay? Then, because I've made the experiment on the first side, I'm just gonna go ahead and do the new approach and swing my hand straight up in that line. Okay? And then as I'm reaching through the ring finger, I try and move that sitting bone back down so that the groin releases downward toward the floor. And then reach yourself back up into Upavishta Konasana. Right? And then stretch your legs out into Dandasana, staff pose. Just turn to the side so you can see a little bit. But Dandasana, my feet are in a different position. Right? The feet are in a Tadasana position as opposed to a Swastikasana position. Right? Spread across the soles of your feet. Extend from the inner knee, through the inner heel. And then from the little toe side of the foot, draw up from your outer hips. Okay, I'm doing that already. All right, okay. And then get that same feeling of length in the sides of the torso by pressing down through your fingertips and up into the armpits, right? So that's Dandasana. All right, let's do Swastikasana on the other side and add that Parsvakonasana side arm stretch. All right, so bring your opposite leg in and the foot is turned. So the sole of the foot goes up toward the ceiling and your heels come back further where they're closer to the blanket. And then work on the external rotation of the feet, of the calves, and of the thighs. Oh, I'm up on the height, but you can be on the floor still. All right, so sit up straight and tall. And since I'm up on the height, I'm gonna do that same side stretch, but I'm gonna add a brick. So I've just raised the floor, so it's basically even with my blankets. Or you can still be on the floor, either one's fine. Okay, so then turn your torso away from the external rotation of the leg. by tucking your hand on your pelvic bone and turning. Take your hand and move it onto the rib cage and turn. And then take your hand to your the armpit, and move across the collarbone. And I forgot to add this last time. Press through the thumb and the first finger and turn your upper arm bone back toward the wall behind you. So you've got as much opening as possible in the whole torso, okay, by stretching the arm out like this. And then keep your elbow in close, put your thumb right on that top collarbone and lift up so you get even more lift in the side of the torso and the chest. And then extend the hand outward along this nice trajectory that moves from the pelvic bone or the side of the pelvic bone through the waist, through each individual rib, all the way up into the armpit. Make yourself tall. Then really extend through the rib cage, and then push with your fingers on the floor and turn your head to look up toward the ceiling. So the body is really doing the pose that we call Parsvakonasana, which means side angle pose. All right, then come back to the center and just feel that difference on the side that you stretched on top versus the other side. It should feel taller. I almost feel a little uneven. Then switch your block to the other side if you're on some height. If you're on the floor, you don't need the break. Okay. And you'll slide outward, and sliding outward is good. It gives you some length in the side of the torso, but the tendency is that our torso tends to turn a little bit toward the floor. So keeping your outer hips firm, take your hand on your pelvic bone and turn. I actually grabbed my shorts and I pulled my shorts from it'll be my right, but it looks like the left, from that side to the other side. Then move up to the rib cage, up to the armpit, across the collarbone, then press through the thumb and the first finger and rotate that shoulder bone back toward the wall behind you. Then add the top arm. Press down through both feet, keep the sitting bones firm and down toward the floor, and lengthen all the way from that side of the pelvic bone, through the waist, through the rib cage, through the armpit. Make yourself as tall as possible, and then keep turning this bottom arm back toward the wall behind you as you turn your head to look toward the ceiling. And then come all the way back up, and then stretch your legs out again into Dandasana, staff pose. Make your legs as nice and engaged as possible by pressing your big toes together, and then from the little toe side of the foot, draw all the way up into the outer hips. Okay. Similar pose in terms of the cross of the legs, but you're gonna keep the foot position of Dandasana. Okay. So take your right hand on the inside of the right knee, and then as you put your foot underneath your leg, I'm just lifting it up so you can see the foot. See how the foot stays on the little toe side of the foot rather than coming to the top of the foot. Okay. So that's the difference between Sukhasana, the foot position, and Swastikasana when you turn your foot. Okay. Sukhasana, the Sanskrit for that means pose of ease. Okay. Sukha means ease or pleasure. Okay. It doesn't mean that the pose is easy to do. It's one of my favorite yoga jokes, but it is a way of getting us to think about the sukha, or the pleasure, let's say, that we can gain through the experience and practice of yoga. Okay. Now, this pose, the leg cross is similar. The feet are more out underneath the knees. Okay, so those are the two main landmarks of the pose. And then from your inner knee now, extend through the inner heel, and you should feel that you come more onto the little toe side of the foot. You'll still feel some nice firmness in the outer hips. And right now, as I'm doing this pose, I'm feeling I have a little bit more width across the groin. And there's a little bit more for me. I can feel the external rotation happening reasonably automatically. Okay. Now stretch your arms out, interlace your fingers, and turn your palms toward me. Keep extending from your inner knee through your inner heel, drawing up from the outer knee into the outer hip. Now extend from your elbow through your thumb and the first finger, and from the little finger side of your hand, draw all the way up into the outer shoulder. Right, your fingers, which are called anguliyas in Sanskrit, and are bound, which is the word is bada. And now you're gonna add the urdhva, which is the up, okay? So you're gonna add your arms with the bound fingers into Urdhva Baddha-Angulyasana. Yeah. It's a mouthful, yeah. But all it means is upward. Urdhva means up, bound is Baddha, and Anguliyas are fingers. Sometimes this is also just called Parvatasana, just to make, which means like a mountain, yeah. So you're lifting your arms up. Now, as you lift your arms up, go ahead and let your chin come down a little bit to your chest, okay? And as you do that, you should feel that your trapezius muscle releases a little bit more, and maybe you can get your arms a little bit straighter by sucking your elbows a little bit more toward each other. Then put your head back and release your arms all the way down. Someone have a question? Okay. So now you've got one finger on top. Again, feel free to ask questions. Switch the other finger, okay? So this is the bind. The fingers are bound with each other, okay? And the fingers themselves are angulias. Okay? Turn your palms toward me. Check back in at your feet. Pull your little finger side of your hand back toward your shoulders, and now add the urdhva. So you're reaching your arms up, which means urdhva is the word for up. Check back in and make sure you're still on the little toe side of the foot. Extend from the elbows through the wrists. Lift your chest up and draw your chin now down toward your chest, and see if you can get a little bit more upwardness or urdhva with the arms when you let your head come down. Then bring your head back to the center, and then bring your arms all the way back down and sit again in Sukhasana. Stretch your legs back out into Dandasana, which means staff pose. Okay. Spread across the toes, and from the little toe side of the foot, you're drawing upward into the outer hips. Now bring the opposite leg in first. And I'm just lifting the leg up so you can see. Okay, so see I'm on the little toe side of my foot. Okay. Then I cross the other leg, and I stay on that little toe side of the foot. Another way you can check that is if you have your brick handy, you can put your brick against the sole of the foot, and it should stay in contact with the brick. The main way it stays in contact is extending from the inner knee through the inner heel, and from that little toe side of the foot, you draw all the way upward into your outer hips. That firmness of the outer hip should result in a feeling of a lift coming all the way into the chest. Right now, hook one thumb against the other thumb. Pull your thumbs against each other and stretch your fingers toward me. Keep pulling your thumbs against each other as you reach your fingers all the way up, or urdhva. Pull your thumbs against each other, and you'll feel your elbows come in straighter. Stretch up even more through your ring fingers. Reach up so much that you feel your abdomen draw in toward the spine, and then make sure your trapezius muscles are releasing away from your neck. Then release your hands down. Switch the grip of your thumbs. Pull your thumbs against each other as you bring your hands up again. Up means urdhva. Pull your thumbs against each other and reach your fingers up toward the ceiling. Keep that extension in the sides of the torso and that nice lift in the abdomen as you bring your hands all the way back down. And then stretch your legs out again into Dandasana, staff pose. All right, then bring your legs out wide. I think we worked on this pose a little bit last time. Yeah, this pose is called Upavishta Konasana. Okay, the kona, that word refers to the angle of the pose, right? And upavishta means just like spread wide apart as you're sitting. Now the leg actions are really the same, and the foot position is still in Dandasana, okay, or Sukhasana. So from your inner knee, extend through the inner heel, and you also extend through the big toe side of the foot. So it's really the whole big toe side of the foot that's getting the nice feeling of extension. Spread your toes away from your big toes like you did in Dandasana. And then from the little toe side of the foot, draw all the way upward into your outer hips until you feel your outer hips get a little bit more firm. And lengthen up again through the side ribs and roll your shoulder bones back. Bring your shoulder blades closer together, away from the neck and into the center of the body and up a little bit. Then add your fingertips. You can either do a little cup-shaped finger or have your palms flat. But push down with your fingers or down with your palms so you feel that nice lift coming all the way up into the armpits. All right. Now keep your knee wide. Okay? And take your right hand on the inside of the right knee. And then you're going to bring your foot into half, okay, or Ardha Baddha Konasana. Okay, so one leg is in a pose called Baddha Konasana, which means bound angle pose. Here's the angle. The bind tells us that it's the leg that's binding the angle in place. So it's not spread out anymore. And you still have to extend from your inner knee through your inner heel. And you still draw up from the little toe side of the foot into the outer hip. Okay, then from Baddha Konasana, just take your foot out. Okay? So it's at like a 90-degree angle with the mat. Yep. And still keep your foot in Baddha Konasana. And from the little toe side of the foot, draw upward into the outer hip. This one doesn't really have a name. You could think of it as a seated Ardha Konasana leg, I guess, if you want. And then stretch the leg back out into Upavishta Konasana, seated wide angle pose, and do all of your leg actions. And the leg actions, just inner knee through inner heel, spread across the toes, and draw up from the outer knee into the outer hip. Now bring the opposite leg into Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And you stay on the little toe side of the foot by drawing from the little toe, inner knee through the inner heel, little toe all the way up into the outer hip. Then move that leg outward so it's just in like a seated 90-degree angle. We're going to do this standing in a little while as well. Okay, now bring both legs in, so both feet are in Baddha Konasana. So press the big toe side of your foot against each other, press the heels against each other, and from the little toe, draw all the way upward into the outer hips. You may find that it's a little bit harder to get upright in this Baddha Konasana. Keep your right leg in Baddha Konasana and just move your left leg out straight. So it's like a Janu Shirshasana, or actually a Mahamudra leg. So you're still on the little toe side of the foot. Okay. Now, point that foot. I'm going to move the leg out a little bit so you can see a little bit better. And I'm also going to slide at this point off of my blankets. So now my foot is turned more like a swastikasana foot, right? Because the sole of the foot is turned up toward the ceiling. And I'm going to sneak my hands underneath my foot and underneath the ankle and just see if I can swing the foot up into Padmasana on top of my thigh. If you can't, it's totally okay. You just slide back to the Vrikshasana stage, right? Then stretch your legs back out. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So right hand on the inside of the right knee. Move your legs out first to Vrikshasana, or really Mahamudra. Vrikshasana means tree pose. This is just the leg sitting down. And then see if you can bring your leg up into Padmasana, or Ardha Padmasana. Now, even though the foot is kind of, let's say, a little bit more like swastikasana, you still have to extend from the inner knee through the inner heel, okay? Rather than letting the ankle collapse. And then stretch your legs out. And then go ahead and stand up. This is where the strap and the chair are going to come in. Oh, let's see. I think Gay and Cliff, you've done this this week with me, but I'm not sure anyone else has. So it's new. I kind of just was reminded of it last week. So I'm back against the wall for some balance. And if you can manage that, great. If you can't, it's also okay. And I've got the chair right here near my hip. It's on my right side. You can do your right side, or if you want to mirror, you can. I happen to have a second sticky mat, which just provides, when I put it on top of the chair handle, okay, it provides just a little bit of padding. You don't necessarily need to have that, but if you can also just use a blanket, but I have it, so I'm using it. Now, we're gonna bend the leg and put the leg up on the chair. But you actually want to try and get the sitting bone, or the chair, to move the sitting bone up toward the ceiling. Now this chair, for some reason today, on me, is feeling a little bit tall. Yeah. But if you're, well, two things. So I'm kind of short, and so the chair is actually kind of tipping me over. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is say, where is my other piece of foam or another block that I can stand on? Now, if you're taller and you're not feeling any of that sensation of the hip kind of getting pushed by the sticky mat or by the handle, what you're going to do is just add some blankets. All right, so now I've got my foot raised and I've got the chair lifting my sitting bone up for me. Marcia, if this feels too much on your hip, you can just move the leg out to the side, or you can experiment with maybe not using the sitting bone on the handle, but moving more of the thigh onto the handle. But if you can't, the handle of the chair is just the part you hold on with. Then you want this leg that's on the chair to be in what we call a 90-degree angle. Okay? And the 90-degree angle partly refers to, see how my shin is parallel with the wall and my thigh is parallel with the floor. So it refers to that angle, but it also refers to the angle, ideally, that your knee is coming out from the torso at. So when I actually look from that perspective, my back of my thigh is not parallel with the wall. So I can try to move it back toward the wall. But the other thing that works nicely for me is to actually move my foot or my torso a little bit further forward. Okay? Everyone in some semblance of that, any questions? Let's see, I think it's Chaya. Move your foot a little bit further toward your knee. There you go. Okay, then what we're gonna do is take your right thumb and put it on your shoulder so your elbow stays in close, and you're gonna lean away from your bent leg. So you're getting that nice extension in the side of the torso. Then keep that extension as you come back to the center. Place your hand on your knee and move your knee back behind you a little bit more, and use your other hand to turn the torso away from the leg. You can also turn your rib cage, turn your collarbone, then reach your hand straight up into Urdhva, which means up, Hastasana. Press down into your heel and stretch up through your ring finger and push with your hands so you're getting lots of nice opening in the whole torso. Okay? Then hoist your leg down, step off the height if you're standing on it, and just observe the effect. Oh yeah, Amelia, you did this with me this week already. See if you can feel the difference between the right side and the left.
Anne, I had a question.
Yeah.
When I'm putting my feet over there, the knees coming towards the screen, towards you.
Yeah. So what you want to try and do, you have two options. You can try and lift your leg up and move the whole leg back away from the screen. And then the other thing that actually works better for me is to hop the other leg forward, okay? So if you think about, you want that angle, you have, and you've got, and this side is actually a little bit better. Let me see if I can get where I can show it.
So where is the chair on your sit?
Ideally the chair, okay? And this is one of the things that's newer for me. Ideally the chair is really right on the sitting bone, okay? So it should feel like the hardness of the chair, okay, is lifting the sitting bone up a little bit. Okay? Now, I can imagine on some people's hips that might feel a little too much. Like perhaps if you've had a hip replacement, you might not want that direct, let's say, forcing open. Okay? So you can experiment with not being right on the sitting bone. But if you can, get right on that sitting bone, great. Yeah. Now, so Chaya, you see how my leg is at an angle that way, right? So you can try just wiggling the whole leg back, okay? But the other thing that helps is, can you come up onto your toes and maybe move the standing leg forward? See, as much as you can, you're trying to let the knee shoot straight out from the side of the torso, okay? And you want to feel, hopefully, that the chair is lifting the sitting bone up. Then you suck your own outer femur bone in. It should feel like I like it. For me, it's giving me a lot of opening right here on that inner pelvic bone and groin. at the firmness of the chair, and then I can actually turn away from that bent leg. Now let's add the arm like we did on the other side. Put your thumb on your shoulder, keep turning your tricep from the outside in, and lean away from your bent leg. So you get maximal length in that side of the torso. Keep that length as much as you can as you place your hand on your knee, and now push your hand against your knee and turn the whole torso away from that leg. Then add your arm. Press down into the standing heel and up through the ring finger. And then you can even tip over a little bit. It's kind of like a standing, let's say, Parsvakonasana. All right, and then release the leg, come back down, and stand into Tadasana. And just, observe the effect. I have to tuck my shirt in just a second. So after I've done that, I really feel that it moves that feeling of what Mr. Iyengar calls compaction in the hips. I feel that more readily. I feel that my legs have gotten drawn together more, that my abdomen is in, and I feel a lift as a result coming all the way into the chest. Okay? All right, now the strap is coming in. So move your chair back to the first side. Make a loop with your strap. Stand against the chair. Well, stand with the chair against your hip. Okay. I guess it's the same thing. And then move that leg back up on the chair. And so, I'm short. Okay. So one let's say little approach I've also gotten is I actually come up onto my toe, turn the hip, and then I can place the hip more readily on the chair. And then I just check out how much of a 90-degree angle that can I get. Maybe I can move my leg a little bit further back. I'm here. Then you're going to take your strap, put it on your foot, and then stretch your leg out straight, but don't lift your leg. My loop is too big. Don't lift your leg off of the chair. Just keep it going out at a straight angle. And then really work to get both legs straight. Level your hips. Turn your pelvic bone away from that extended leg, and then just reach your arm out to the side. This is called Utthita, which means extended. Parsva means to the side, because the leg is going out to the side. And Hastasana means hand pose. Hastapadagushasana, sorry, because eventually you're getting your big toe. And I can see I'm kind of tipping. So I want to be as even and upright as I can. Then bring the leg back. Move the leg forward. And then do the same thing on the other side. So swing your chair over. Hoist your leg over. And whatever way you can manage, get the 90-degree angle in your leg. Okay? This way and also back that way. Then you may not be able to manage it. It's okay, I can't completely manage it either. Then put the strap on the foot. If you can work it down to that place between the arch and the heel, do so. And then just extend the leg out straight. And my strap is a little long there to be as effective as it can be. And then from the little toe side of the foot, pull up all the way into the outer hip. I really like this variation. I'm finding it just gives me a real sense of expansion through the whole inner torso because the legs are so stabilized. I can get that release in the groin, and then the release in the groin just spreads through my entire torso. All right. Okay. And then stand in Tadasana. We're going to do the same thing now, but we're going to put the chair in front of us. Okay, so slide the chair in front of you. Then reach your leg forward. And on this one, for me, I'm trying to get to the sitting bone, but if you can't quite get there, it's okay. So the leg here is at another 90-degree angle, but coming out straight from the body, right? Take your hand, move the outer facet of your hip away from your armpit. This is called Utthita, which means upright. Hasta means hand, and Padangusthasana is the big toe of the foot. Padas are feet, and Angushtas, I guess, mean big toes. And I've got the strap, and same thing, I'm just gonna stretch. Need to be a little bit more toward the center. I'm gonna stretch my leg out straight and not worry about lifting the leg off the chair. The chair is still, the leg is still supported by the chair. And that gives me the opportunity to really work on getting both legs straight. And then with my strap, I pull a little bit more on the little toe side of the foot. Then bend your leg and back to the center. And I can feel that open to my front groin on my right side a little bit more. All right, then do the same thing on the second side. And again, you've got a 90-degree angle with the leg coming straight out in front of you. Take your hand and put it on your outer hip and move your outer hip away from your armpit. Then take the strap. If you can put it on the place between the arch and the heel, go ahead and do so. And then stretch your leg out straight. Don't try and lift the leg up off the chair. Just let the leg take the support of the chair. And when, as a result, you should really be able to work the legs fully. Move your buttocks down toward your heels, lift the quadriceps, and particularly extend from that inner little toe side of the foot all the way up through the outer hip and from the inner knee into the inner heel. All right? Good. All right, then stand in Tadasana again. You've still got the chair here. This one's a little different. This works really well if you actually happen to have a bar stool. We're gonna try and go for a 90-degree angle again, except you're gonna try and get your foot to come up onto the chair. I don't think we did this one this week yet. So the leg is more like, let's say, the beginning of Supta Padangusthasana 3. Now, you want it, the tendency is for the foot to turn into a swastikasana foot, but you want to try and keep it in a sukhasana foot. What does that mean? You want to be as much as you can on the little toe side of the foot and extend from that inner knee through the inner heel. Feel the opening in the outer hip. All right, then point your foot, turn the sole of the foot up toward the ceiling, and let your leg, I'm going to move the chair so you can see, let your leg come into half Padmasana. And so the foot points at that point, but you still extend from the inner knee through the inner heel, okay? Then bring that leg down. Feel the opening in the front of the hip, and now we're gonna do the second side. So I'm against the wall for balance. Okay? You can do it not against the wall. Now, again, you're going for, if you can get it, a 90-degree angle with the leg. My chair, truthfully, is in a little too close for the leg to be at a 90-degree angle. So I'm gonna try again, moving it out, and see, can I actually then, with it out a little further, yeah, now my leg is a little bit more like 90. Knee is still high, but this hip is much tighter than the other one. Inner knee through the inner heel, so you're on the little toe side of the foot, okay? That gives a certain rotation of the hip. Now point your foot, so it's more like a swastikasana foot, and bring the foot, if you can, into Ardha Padmasana. If you can't, you can leave it on the chair. All right, and then stand back in Tadasana. And basically, we're gonna do that same thing lying down, all right? Or most of the same things lying down. Okay. So lie down now on the floor. I'm gonna move the setup so hopefully you can see better. All right, again, I am wearing dark colors, and I've got a dark mat. So what I'm going to do is make my mat be light colored, white colored even, so you can see a little bit better. And I'm going to turn it this side. All right. That's just for visual things. It's not really a necessary part of the pose. All right. Then you're going to lay down on your setup. And I think you'll be able to see me. I'm just testing out here. Okay. Yeah, so lie down on the floor. And then I'll see how y'all are doing. Looks pretty good. And you'll need your strap. Okay, and then bend both of your knees so your feet are flat on the floor. Press down into your heels, and even here from the little toe side of the foot, draw all the way up into your outer hips, okay? Keep your left knee bent, and you're gonna bend your right leg up, and you're gonna try and keep it in, guess what? That same 90-degree angle, okay? And you're gonna try and let the knee go to the side of the body a little bit, and take your hand on the little toe side of the foot and pull the little toe side of the foot down toward the floor. You'll be happy to know, Carolyn, this one doesn't really have a Sanskrit name. Sometimes it's called happy baby pose. Yeah. All right, leg in the 90-degree angle. Now put the ankle on the knee. And your leg should still be in, guess what? A 90-degree angle. And your foot should be in a Sukhasana shape, meaning that as much as possible, you're extending from the inner knee through the inner heel and pulling from the little toe side of the foot into the outer hip. Now this is, I do this a lot. I teach it a lot. And I learned something new about it that I want to share with you. Normally I tell people to reach up, get their hand on the back of the hamstring and pull the whole leg in. There's nothing wrong with that. You can go ahead and do that and feel what happens. Flex both of your feet. But I can't remember who taught it to me, but now I want you to try the same thing, but leave your hands out of the game for a second. Instead, use the leg and the strength of the leg itself to push the other leg in. Okay? Flex both feet, and it's really from that left heel, you're pulling the whole leg in. And don't you get a different feeling of opening and engagement in that leg than when you just add your hands immediately? You're using the strength of the leg, not just the strength of the arms, okay, to get that hip open. Then you can go ahead and add your arms. Why not? All right, then put your left leg down, point your right foot, close the fold of the knee, and now put the little toe side of the foot all the way up at the top of the thigh if you can. Try the same thing. A lot of times we just pull in with the hands and you get some work, but what happens if you pull in by pushing the leg? It's really a lot more effective, right? At least for me. And then lower the leg down, undo the right leg, and stretch both of your legs out back into Supta Tadasana. Supta means supine. Tadasana means a mountain, so you're just a laying down mountain pose right now. I feel a significant opening in both the outer hip and in the front groin from having done that 90-degree angle work. All right. So basically now we're just going to repeat it on the other side. Right? So you're going to bend both of your knees. Lift the left leg up. I'll turn around so you can see the other side a little better. Now truthfully, I can't be completely at a 90-degree angle. And also for my leg to actually clear my pelvis, it does have to angle out a little bit. But as much as I can, I am trying to keep the shin parallel with the wall behind me. All right. And, you know, sometimes I work on keeping the right hip down and getting as far as I can. Sometimes I let the right hip come up a little bit and see if I can get the leg down a little bit more. And see how I have my fingers on that outer foot? I can pull with my fingers, and that sucks the outer femur bone in more. Okay? All right, so keep the 90-degree angle as much as you can by rotating through the outer hip, and then put your ankle just below your right knee. Okay. Flex both of your feet so they're more in the Sukhasana shape, and that foot position really gives you more access to the outer hips. That drawing up from the outer foot into the outer hips is really what we're after here. If you want to run the experiment again on the first side and the second side, you can just reach with your hands and pull in. Or you can say, you know what, I'm pretty convinced that it works better to just use my legs. So I'm gonna move, and it's from the left leg pushing from the right leg pushing the left leg in. And I'm moving my knee toward the ankle. And if you think about it, it makes sense why this would be more effective. A, your legs are actually, one leg is actually stronger than both of your hands. But B, you know, you're trying to talk to the hip. And so what's at the other side of the hip? The foot. So if you're actually, or the leg. And so if you're using your legs to open the hips, you're closer to what you want to open than if you're just pulling with your arms. Totally different set of organ of actions. But you can still pull with your arms, it's fine. Okay. Then bring that leg down, point your foot, close the fold of the knee, and bring the little toe side of the foot up to the very top of the thigh if you can. If you can't, you just go where you can go. Flex your bottom foot, and then again, push with the right leg to get the left leg inner groin to open more. And don't be afraid to use a lot of strength. Okay? Use the strength of your body to break through the stiffness of your body. And lower that leg back down. Slide the leg. Oh, did we go into Ardha Padmasana or not? I can't remember.
Yeah, we did not.
We did not. Okay, thank you, Vicki. Then we won't do it on this side. Okay, and then bend both of your knees. All right, I'm going to sneak a little bit of abdominal work on you. So don't do it if you're on your cycle, but bring your legs up to Urdhva, which means up. Prasarada means extended, and padas are feet. You actually maybe can't see my feet right now. Hold on to the sides of the sticky mat with your hands. From that little toe side of the foot, pull all the way up into the outer hips. Then lower your legs to a 60-degree angle to the floor. Lower your legs to a 30-degree angle to the floor. Bring your legs back up to 90. And try it one more time. Keep extending from the little toe into the outer hips. 60, 30, back to 90. All right? Then, since you're nicely on the floor, go ahead and just roll over onto your side. I'm on my left side. You can be on whatever side you want to be. This pose is called Anantasana. Infinity pose. And I'm starting off, it's like a sideways Tadasana. Okay. If it hurts anyone's neck or shoulders, you can just leave your head like this, but I like to rest the head up. Okay, so let's try our 90-degree angle thing. You're gonna bring the leg up and try and just keep it in a 90-degree angle. So don't even try and reach the foot yet. Okay. And then move the outer facet of your hip away from your armpit. It's hard to do, isn't it? Aren't you kind of just dying to fold the leg? Okay, then fold the leg, get the ankle, and put the foot in Vrikshasana. Vrikshasana again means tree pose, and so you're just laying down in tree pose here. All right, now this one is really not one I've done a lot lately, but it also really works the outer hip. Can you slide your foot forward of your bottom leg? In an ideal world, my heel would be all the way down to the floor. It's not quite, but I can still do the pose. Now push your ankle and your thigh against each other to try and get that hip even more open. Can y'all feel that? Now, if your heel is all the way down on the floor, the next thing you can try is, can you actually turn your little toes underneath your foot and get even more external rotation in the hip? All right, then you're gonna roll onto your back, get the little toe side of the foot and see, can you flip your foot into half Padmasana? Then flex your foot and roll back over using your abdominal muscles to come back into the Vrikshasana stage of Anantasana. Wasn't that fun? All right, now if you need your strap, you need your strap, but get your big toe if you don't need your strap. And come into straightening the leg out. Okay, now remember when we were on the chair and I told you not to pull the leg way in. So that's really more the position of Anantasana also. I'm not trying to pull my leg in toward my armpit and my head so much. I'm really trying to keep the leg going straight, upward out of the hip. And then it's a little harder to reach my toes, but I'm gonna try anyway and move the outer hip. Okay, now this part's really fun. You're gonna roll onto your back and come into Supta Padangusthasana 2. I happen to be strategically placed so that my leg is being held by the wall, but that is just a happy accident. It's not anything actually planned. Okay, this next one, if you have any issues with your sacrum, I would recommend just bending your legs and coming back up. But you also can come back up holding on to the foot and lift yourself way, way, way back up. It's very fun, and it really sucks the outer femur bone in, okay? All right, now keep your right leg up, lower back down on your back so the leg is in Supta Padangusthasana 1. Lift the other leg up to meet it. Hold on to the sides of the sticky mat with your hands, and guess what we're gonna do? Urdhva Prasarita Padasana again. Upward is Urdhva, Prasarita is extended, Padas are feet. So the feet start at 90 degrees. Squeeze your legs together and draw up from the little toe side of the foot into the outer hip. Move your legs to 60 degrees from the floor, 30 degrees from the floor, and come all the way up. And I can really feel a difference between my right leg and my left. One more time, start at 90. Flex your feet, and from the little toe side of the foot, draw upward into your outer hips. 60 to the floor, 30 to the floor, come all the way back up to 90, bend your knees, and then you're gonna roll over to your side and do the same thing on the other side, all right? Okay, so lie down on your side. Lift your head up and put your hand underneath your head. And you start off in, basically you're on Tadasana on your side. Draw your abdomen in and move the buttocks toward the heels. And just for fun, can you just bring the leg up into this 90-degree angle? Extend from the inner knee through the inner heel. From the little toe side of the foot, draw all the way up into the outer hips. And keep moving that outer facet of your left hip away from the armpit. Okay, then bring your leg into Vrikshasana. Push the foot and the thigh against each other. Try and move that knee away and suck your outer femur bone in. Then see what happens. Can you slide the foot forward? Now you can see on this side, again, this is my tighter hip, and as a result, my foot doesn't want to reach toward the floor quite as much. I'm doing the best I can, but that's what I got. If you can get your heel all the way to the floor, feel free. if you do that, then you can also turn your toes out a little bit more and get even more external rotation. But I'm just satisfying myself with pushing that ankle against the leg, and I can feel the femur bone move in, and I'm getting more opening in the inner groin. All right, now you're gonna point the foot more, slide to the side, and bring your leg as much as you can into Padmasana. All right, then flex your foot, see if you can slide back up into Vrikshasana. It's going a little bit better for me. Then, now get your big toe. Now remember the chair. Okay? When you stretch the leg out straight, it's like your chair is still against the back part of your hip. So the leg is just going straight up, and you're not trying to pull it way, way, way in. You're trying to suck the femur bone into the socket, turn the outer hip as much as you can, and then stretch the leg straight up. And again, when you really insist on that leg position, you may need a strap for your hand. All right, then roll again onto your back and come into Supta Padangusthasana 2. Little toe side of the foot into the outer hip. Again, if you have any lower back or sacrum instability, bend your leg and then roll back up because it's a shorter lever. But it's very fun. It's one of my favorite things to do lately, to roll back up and really pull with your foot to bring your leg all the way back. Yeah. Good job. And then lower the leg down. And then slide yourself up. 2 grand finale hip opening poses. And then we'll do a little bit of inversion work. Okay, so come to stand in Tadasana again for just a second. So you can feel the effect of all of that hip work as you're standing in Tadasana. And the main things I feel are more compaction, more length, more drawing in of the legs toward each other, more lift of the chest. You may feel the same thing. You may feel different things. Okay, now we have our chair again. And this time you're gonna sit on the chair. And I like to put a sticky mat on the chair, but again, that's just optional. All right, ready? This is going toward a pose that is called Mula Bandhasana. Mula is the root and the bandha is the bind. And so in yoga practice, there are 3 main bandhas or binds where you lift the perineum up, okay, your abdomen, that's called Mula Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha is drawing the abdomen in and up. And then Jalandhara Bandha is the chin lock where you bring your chin down toward your chest. Okay. So extrapolating from that, basically, this pose teaches you Mula Bandhasana. So bring your legs out, again, kind of at a 90-degree angle. They're actually not, well, the 90 I want is actually the shin and the thigh. This is not a 90 degree.
Are your feet turned out?
Yeah, my feet are right now in line with my shin.
Okay.
But in a little while, we're going to do something different that asks them to turn out even more. All right. But right now, they're just going the same angle as my knee. Good question. All right. Then you're going to bring your right toes in to the middle of the chair. And see how my foot is in the Sukhasana shape, right? As much as I can, I'm trying to get the whole ball of my foot onto the floor. So to do that, I have to move my outer ankle toward the inner ankle and press through the ball of the foot. Got it? Stretch that leg back out and then do the same thing on the other side. And my foot, I'm trying to get my foot, I'm not letting it go down toward the floor. I'm really trying to flex the toes as much as possible So I'm really trying to get onto the ball of the foot, and then I move my outer ankle toward my inner ankle and just observe what happens in my hips. Okay, now you can just repeat that, or you can try and bring both of your feet in. That looks great, Marcia. Now, when I look at my ankles, and I can even feel my ankles are moving back toward the wall behind me. And what I want is for my outer ankle to move toward my inner ankle and move the opposite way, because that actually gets more opening in the hips. You can stay here, or you can put your hands on the chair and just slide yourself down toward the floor, but you're trying to get your buttocks behind your feet. And as I go down, I can feel my ankles want to suck backward. So I'm really trying to move my outer ankle toward my inner ankle and stay on the ball of the foot. Then I'm going to hoist myself back up onto the chair. Wasn't that fun? And eventually you just do it without the chair. You sit on the floor behind your feet. Okay. Let's try it one more time, okay, since it's relatively new. We do it on a bolster sometimes. Again, the tendency is for the ankles and to drop to the little toe side of the foot. But you want to externally rotate your outer hips and move the outer ankle toward the inner ankle, so you become more and more of the weight comes onto the big toe of the foot. Can y'all feel that difference? Like when you let the legs flop versus moving them forward, you get more opening. All right, then keep moving your outer ankle toward your inner ankle as you slide down as far as feels comfortable to you. But as you go down, keep moving the outer ankle toward the inner ankle, so you're really trying to stay on that big toe side of your foot. And then hoist yourself back up and sit again on your chair. Okay, Vicki, this is the new foot position. Now move your feet out wider again. Okay. And then we're going to try and turn one foot out a little bit more. So lift your toes up and press into your right heel. Move your outer ankle toward your inner ankle, and then can you turn your toes as far back without hurting your knee behind you as you can. Feel the outer hip, feel the groin. Press into the heel again, lift the toe up and come back to the center, and do that 2 more times. Press down into the heel and lift the toes up. From the little toe side of the foot, draw up into the outer hip and turn your toes back behind you. Then come back to the center and 1 more time. Press down into the heel and lift the toes up. From the little toe side of the foot, draw up into the outer hip and turn your toes way back behind you. And then come back to the center. Same thing on the second side. Press down into the heel and lift the toes up. Little toe side of the foot to the outer hip, turn the toes back. You maybe can see I can't do this side as well. Yeah. But I'm still doing it. 2 more times. Press down into the heel and lift the toes up. Little toe side of the foot to the outer hip, turn your toes back. Feel that opening in the outer hip and the opening in the inner groin. Come back to the center 1 more time. Press down into the heel and lift the toes up. From the little toe side of the foot, draw up into the outer hip, turn the toes back. Feel that opening in the groin. And just for fun, see if you can do both toes. Lift up, little toe side of the foot, turn back, feel the groin. 2 more times. Press down in the heel, lift the toes up, little toe side of the foot to the outer hip, turn the toes. Last time. Press down into the heels, lift the toes up, little toe side of the foot into the outer hip, turn. Okay. All right, then wiggle your legs back together. Stand in Tadasana. Feel the effect. Then do a downward facing dog. Adho Mukha. If we haven't done any downward facing dog today,
But observe how much that hip work gives you a nice stable feeling in your legs in downward facing dog. All right, walk your feet forward and hang in Uttanasana for just a, Uttanasana means intense stretch. All right, then from Uttanasana, walk your feet out wide. Wide is Prasarada, so this is called Prasarada Padottanasana. Padas are feet. So the feet are wide apart and you fold forward. Feel how much ease comes in to the inner groin from all the hip work we've done. You can either stay here, stay in downward facing dog, or stay in standing forward bend, or walk yourself against the wall or into the middle of the room and come up into Shirshasana. Shirsha is the head, and you're just standing on your head. One of the things that you may feel if you're in Shirshasana is that there's a lot of light feeling in the legs. So when you really work on opening the groin, you get a lot of nice residual benefit in Shirshasana. Press your forearms down, lift your shoulders up, and even here, from the little toe side of the foot, guess what? Draw all the way up into the outer hips. And if you're not doing headstand, try and move your legs over a little bit to the left. Do whatever you do when headstand rolls around. Vicky, a little bit. No, Vicky, just a tiny bit. Your legs are a little bit to the right, but they're almost. Melinda, move your legs over to the left a little bit. Sugi, move your legs over to the left a little bit also. There you go. Good. A little bit, Marcia, your legs are falling backward. So move your shins a little bit forward. Okay, good. Now press your forearms down, keep lifting your shoulders up and come all the way down and rest in downward facing child's pose. All right, downward facing child's pose. You can put your head on a brick if you want. Then roll over onto your back. If you have your brick handy, great. You can do just a minute or so of brick Satchibandha. Or if you don't have your brick handy, you can just do a Chatushpadasana. Satchibandha means a bridge pose. Same word bandha, and I think the bind refers to the chin lock. The chin lock you're here in Jalandhara Bandha. See if you can walk your legs together. And lift one leg up, and that same thing, don't pull the leg way in towards you, just let the leg come up straight out of the hip. Spread your toes from the little toe side of the foot, drop up into the outer hip. Bring the leg down, try and work the legs together. Stretch the opposite leg up, inner knee through inner heel, spread your toes, little toe side of the foot to the outer hip, bring the foot down. Lower your buttocks down to the floor by taking the brick out. And then come into Shavasana, corpse pose. So just lift your buttocks up, tuck your shoulders underneath you. If you need some support for your head, feel free to use it. Close your eyes. Let your eyes release into the back of your head. Let your tongue release away from the roof of your mouth. And clench your jaw. Let the back of the throat release. Let the sides of the throat release. Let the base of the throat release. Let your ears draw inward. Completely relax the features of your face. Become quiet within. I mentioned when you were upside down,
that there's a lightness that comes after releasing the groin that's so much in the inversions. Similarly, just take a couple breaths and observe, can you feel any effect of all of the groin work on your Shavasana? Maybe you feel that your abdomen is drawn in a little bit more, that there's more sense of opening throughout the whole body, and maybe a little bit more ability to just move that awareness inward. Just observe what you observe and then be in your Shavasana. Shavasana means corpse pose. Now from that still place within, inhale. Consciously use your inhalations to bring that awareness of your true self with you as you go about your work in the world. Your little baby is very cute there, Kristen. All right. Okay, then bend your knees, roll to your side, and come all the way back up. Now, sit in whatever cross-legged position is available to you. That could be swastikasana, sukhasana, siddhasana, or even padmasana, giving all the hip work that we've done. Close your eyes and fold your palms together to your heart. Observe the effect that your practice has on you. Observe it on every layer of your being, from the physical to the most deeply spiritual. In gratitude to the benefit you receive from your practice of yoga, in gratitude to the people I have the opportunity to learn and study and practice yoga with, and in gratitude to the lineage of Hatha Yoga itself, as practiced by BKS Iyengar, reaching back to the sages of India, and down through a line of teachers and students to you, here on the mat in Austin, Texas, or wherever you happen to be in the world. Namaste.